G'day guys, Chewie here and welcome back to some more coverage of Warlords of Draenor, where today we're going to do a little bit more coverage on the Warrior and we're going to jump into a little bit more higher rated arena matches. So I've geared up my Warrior in the background over the last few days and I've got him up to a level where I'm happy he is to do this, and we're jumping into some 1550 matches. So what we're going to try to do is raise our bracket and just jump into as many comps as we can. Unfortunately for the coverage today, we're just going to be showing two videos, and that's because what I find I like to be doing when I'm climbing is I really like to be paired off with a healer, and so chances are when you run into another team that's doing the similar thing, the matches can go for a while. And it's actually really, really good in these sort of comps because when I reflect on how I play, I can see where I do a lot of errors and where I've done some misplays and some missed opportunities. Now, obviously here we're up against a survival hunter and a Resto Druid as well. The really painful thing about a survival Druid is, a survival hunter I should say, is the traps, because what's a very common thing to do in the arena, especially as you go up in the brackets, is you get into the Cyclone Trap combo. So what that is basically, it would either happen either way. I'll get trapped and then the Druid would line up a Cyclone. Obviously in that instance their Druid didn't line that one up, so I was quite happy with that play. But you can see there, that was a bit of a misplay. What they'll try to do is one will Cyclone, the Hunter will walk past and throw down a trap. So as soon as the Cyclone's ended, the trap will trigger, or vice versa. While you're being trapped, the Druid will line up a Cyclone just to keep you in a little bit of a longer CC. Now, that is a very, very painful thing to run into in the arena. I think these guys actually had a few opportunities here. See, they're throwing it down, they're not quite getting the timing right, but I know that later on in this match they definitely started doing it to me. You can see that their Druid is just wailing on with the Cyclones, which is really good. I tried to breach the gap there to get an interrupt, but I was on CD, well, I wasn't on CD, I just hit the stun instead. So I guess in this sort of comp, what I was thinking of doing is putting a lot of pressure on the Hunter to keep the Druid close, and when the Druid came, I'd switch to the Druid, and obviously once the Druid starts running around a lot, it's very, very hard to keep on a really good Druid. And another unfortunate thing about being the Warrior is we can get hammered so hard by those bloody entangled roots. So every now and then, oh, that was a nice little Cyclone. Every now and then I'll just swap my plays, then I'll move on to the Hunter. So there you see I missed a very, very big opportunity. I should just charge towards the Druid in that instance, and obviously my Druid picked up on that. I should have just waited for the Cyclone here, and that's probably not a really good play to do. That was a nice little quick interrupt there that I got on the Druid Cyclone. And here I'm just trying to really get a hold of that. So that was a really good leap, followed up with a Storm Bolt. Unfortunately, I'm out of charges, so at that point, I'm really not the best, you know, getting on top of him like that once he gets around the pillars. So I decided to double back and go for the Hunter. And you can see that Hunter really knows how to drop his traps well. I think this is probably the example I was telling you about, guys, where he sneaks past and he throws the trap. No, it wasn't. But yeah, no, look, that's a very, very viable comp. I'm really enjoying the Warrior in terms of, you know, the ability to charge in the gaps and everything else. But what I do find very frustrating is the ability to break CCs is really, really hard. And I mean that by roots. He doesn't have too many escapes, but by God, he max a mid punch when he gets in close. So here you can see I've swapped back to, that was a really good follow-up there with the Cyclone. You can see how that sort of combo can really knock you around a little bit, especially in the twos arena. I'm really enjoying the coverage that I'm doing with the Warrior. I know I've only thrown it as my second video now, but I'm really enjoying him in arenas. I find, especially in the heals comps, it's either going to be a really easy one, but against a Hunter, I mean, normally a Warrior versus a Hunter is painful anyway. I knew this was going to be a painful and hard match, but, you know, reflecting on it, I can see a lot of good opportunities where I've missed the mark on some abilities. You know, you can see how when I went in there and charged, he faked death, which dropped down my focus on him, which is really interesting as well. So it's definitely a well-played Hunter that I'm up against. He is real big pain in the butt to verse. You can see here I waste Blade Storm a fair bit now that I reflect on it. You can see there how the Cyclone hit off. He actually threw down a trap at the same time. Where he went to throw down the trap, but I don't think it triggered. These guys aren't really pairing off that combo. You know, in the match I felt like they were doing a lot more than reflecting on it now, but they're really not doing as much of that combo as I thought. But if any of you have been up against this team, and they are know what they're doing, also this is a really, really great opportunity here to get the Druid. I didn't get it. He's just so sticky, you know, with his ability to turn the bear, drop his heal over time spells and start moving in, the Druid can be a very painful class to come up against in any arena match, realistically. And I do think they're probably one of the top healers, I think, for an arena anyway, because of their jumpiness and their ability to escape so much. I mean, it's just superb. So you can see here, he did a fantastic, and again, you can see I'm just using that Blade Storm. Probably not to the best advantage. I mean, it was good in that instance there to keep the pressure on the Druid, which I was able to as well, but now if I do get nailed with the CC, I'm very limited in how I'm going to break it. So there you go, there's the Frost Trap. An explosive trap to knock me back even further. Interesting play. There's a little mini cyclone that knocked off to the Hunter, so that was pretty good. That was pretty good. You can see there, yeah, you see what I mean? Once you get rooted in place like that, it really is painful for myself to be able to break like that. You can see I went to charge in on the Druid with the Cyclone. There's another missed opportunity there when I just stayed on that Druid there for a little bit longer than I needed to. But there's definitely, yeah, this was definitely a very interesting comp to come up against. I must say, I'm intrigued to do it myself with my own Survival Hunter. You can just see how awesome they sort of just work off each other with that sort of combo. Our combo is pretty good too as well. Me being able to get in there in that melee distance and be able to keep that consistent pressure. And you know, also the beauty thing about the warrior is resource management. You know, because of our rage is just awesome. We can pretty much last that whole fight. You can see there that my Druid's caught in that trap. I'm not sure if they didn't follow up with Cyclone. That probably would have been a really good opportunity to keep the pressure on. You can see I'm taking some pretty significant damage now to my character, so really relying on my ally not being CC. I don't know why it's doing that, but it keeps saying that he's in low health, but he's definitely on low health. I don't know why Gladius is doing that, but I have no idea. So you can see there, you know, even though he was trapped, the Druid was trying to line up a Cyclone, which I managed to keep enough pressure on, so he didn't get that off of my ally. So the Druid's popping in for another Cyclone, so what he's really trying to do is keep a lot of pressure on my healer so that the damage can be applied to myself. And now I'm just trying to bridge that gap. I think in hindsight, looking at this match, I probably changed too much, or I missed the opportunity when I should have changed. I mean, like, you know, I wasted a Blade Storm before, and then that would have been the perfect opportunity then when he threw down the arrow for the stun. So you can see I'm putting all my focus straight back onto the Hunter now, trying to knock his life down. But unfortunately, in doing so, I'm missing, you know, I just missed that Stormbolt by a few seconds, because you can see the enemy Druid is casting the Cyclone, which he's got Cyclone himself, which is great. So I'm able to get the, oh, there you go, deterrence. What a pain in the ass. I can see how, like, you know, and this is probably, in hindsight, this is probably my longest heals comp I've ever done, where I've come up against another heal combo. Normally the disc heals comps sort of last quite some time, but what I noticed with the healer comps, especially with the disc, is they join in with the DPS a lot, whereas the Druid one, you know, they're going to be CCing the crap out of everything you do. Sometimes they join in for the DPS, depending on the team, but usually it's a lot of Cyclones and Entanglements. So you can see here that I'm sort of out of action, and so is their Druid. I've got their Hunter down to a reasonable amount of life. Where, oh, damn it, my buddy got nailed by a trap, so that's obviously going to give him time to start healing up the Hunter. You know, in hindsight, I probably should be using a lot more Stormbolts on the healer and really just focusing on my slows and my catch-up abilities on the Hunter. It was a very hard comp for me to play at the time, and I think what really assisted us is the longer you are in this match, you're starting to lose, the healers are starting to lose their effectiveness to heal. So eventually, that got to a point where my damage was able to push through enough through all the hots to kill them. So you can see here, I'm really trying to keep the pressure on the Hunter, because I believed if I could drop him, you know, it'd be a little bit easier time for me than it would be chasing down that Druid. Obviously, my ally is down to a critical point in life right now. I just popped my trinket to break from that CC. A little bit of, you know what, I must say, now that I've jumped into this bracket, I seem to be playing worse. Or maybe this is how I normally play. But I like it. It seems that the higher the brackets to go, obviously the better the players are, but you know, the more longer the arena matches are, obviously, with the heals comps. Here you can see I'm just putting some immense pressure on the Druid. I'm pushing quite through. I should line up with a good Stormbolt right about now. Stormbolt, so you can't get it. Yep, here we go. This is it. We're chewing him down at the same time. My own Druid's getting chewed down. They're casting some Cyclones on me, just trying to keep me CC'd long enough so they can take down my healer. I really need to get in here, guys. I mean, I really need to get that pressure down. Close the gap on that Druid. Here it comes. Come on. I've almost got him, guys. He's at 15%. He's an execute. Oh, boom. There it is. A very, very long match at this point, as long as my healer survives, because remember, it is a hunter, and they're an absolute pain in the ass to 1v1. Here I'm highly improbable the way this guy plays that I could do it. So as long as my healer can survive, and I can keep up this pressure on this hunter, we should have the match. But it looks like my Druid's got this. He's in a really good position. You can see that was a good application of a Blade Storm, because it allowed me to get out of that annoying stun that was immensely about to happen. Close the gap on the hunter, and here we go. Getting close, and now it's execute time. Beautiful, guys. I know it was a really long one, a lot of talking, but you can see there was a lot of room for improvement there. There's definitely a few errors I've done. I changed my targets a little bit too much when I looked at that match, but what got us through there is obviously the dampening of the healing effect, and eventually our damage managed to penetrate through all the hots. Alright, let's jump into one more quick match just to show you how quick it is against a double DPS. Welcome back, guys. So we're up against another survival hunter, but a feral Druid this time. The reason I wanted to quickly throw this video in the mix was I wanted to show you the difference between versing a heals comp, which is a long fight, or versing a double DPS. So usually they're going to burst really hard and fast. If they do burst hard and fast, they're either going to try and, you know, absolutely melt me or the healer, one or the other. They've got to go for one. Chances are they usually go the healer, usually. It really depends. But I just want to show you the difference in terms of if you're thinking about a double DPS combo for climbing the ranks versus the heals comp. It gives you an idea. It's fast-paced matches as a double DPS. You know, the slightest room for error will leave you fouling match, where it's very similar to the heals comp. But I just want to show you that difference in terms of pressure. So it's a lot more higher pressure, I feel. So here you can see I popped all my major cooldowns and opened up with the Blade Storm. I'm just really trying to put all that pressure on the Feral Druid, and the reason why I went for the Feral Druid is his off heals. I know my ally wanted to go the Hunter, I think, at that stage, but I just wanted to put the immense pressure on him. So you can see I'm just smashing as many of my cooldowns as I can. I'm nailing them. I've got an execute popping up. I've got the Druid down. You can see my life is getting quite critical now. So the Druid's almost down. We've got a stun. We're going to use Quick Trinket. We're going to follow up with some executes. Went for an enrage. Execute. Come on. Here we come. And no, the Druid's not dead. He just went for a quick hide. There he is. And the finisher. That's it, guys. Boom. Now we just need to fly on up, start nailing down the Hunter. And you can see in a double DPS combo, it is a lot fast-paced. But obviously, you know, pick your targets well, because if one of you don't survive, then they have the match. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.